Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming today. We're very excited to have you all here for the second part of our series on web development. Today we'll be focusing on CSS. In today's class, we'll be learning about the basics of CSS, as well as doing a live coding session together to style a simple landing page. Some of you may have been involved in last month's HTML program, and that is where you built the page out in HTML. If you weren't in that class, don't worry, we're going to start where they left off. So I'll provide you with that HTML today to work off of. So a little about me. My name is Alyssa Lemon. I'm a web developer at Ray Ward, which is an advertising and marketing agency here in Charlotte, as well as a co-founder and organizer of Css Bytes. I've been a developer for a couple years now, having made a pretty significant career change in my late 30s. And it started with me learning from classes just like this one. So I'm happy to be able to give back to the community that has helped me to grow and learn. If you're interested, there are a couple links of sites I've worked on in the past. And of course, here are my two favorite non-human creatures on the planet, Twist and Secret, my two dogs. A note about Css Bytes. If you're new to Charlotte or to this group, we're an all-volunteer group devoted to bringing technology education and equal access to anyone and everyone who's interested, especially those who are underrepresented or marginalized in our community. We have more courses coming up in the coming months, including a continuation of the web dev course next month on JavaScript. So keep an eye on our meetup page for additional learning opportunities. We'd love to see you there. And that will also be featured on the library's meetup page. Today's agenda, it's a loose agenda. We'll see how it goes, but I just wanted to make sure we have enough time at the end for questions if anyone has any. And like Christy said, feel free to raise your hand or ask questions in the chat throughout the presentation if you need help with something. I'm happy to answer questions about HTML, CSS, or anything job related at the end. If anybody's interested in having a chat, I'll be around. So, a quick note before we get started that I will be sending out all of these slides to everyone. So the links and resources that we discussed today will be available to you. So don't feel like you have to soak everything up on the first round. You don't have to take notes of everything that's in these slides because you'll have them provided to you afterwards. We will be doing some live coding, but if you prefer to just sit and watch while we work through the page, that's perfectly fine if it's easier for you to learn by watching. You can always go back through and work on this on your own time at your own pace. The library YouTube channel will be hosting a video recording of this class, again, like they mentioned. So in case you want to go back and go through step by step, that'll be available to you shortly. Part 1, CSS basics. So we're just going to go through some of the very basic structure and terminology of CSS before we get to our live coding session. So what is CSS? CSS is an acronym that stands for Cascading Style Sheets. It's used to define styles for your web page, including the design, the layout, variations in display for different devices and screens. If you've heard people mentioning responsive design, that's what that means. The cascading part of this acronym refers to the order in which your computer reads or parses the code from top to bottom. So it'll automatically take the last read value as the final value. So it overrides any styles for the same element further up the code. It just takes the very bottom one. So it's in a cascade. Originally, all styling information was done inline or in the same file as the HTML files. And those files started getting huge and were very difficult to maintain and build. So the World Wide Web Consortium, which is the main international standards organization for the World Wide Web, created CSS to simplify things. So the basic layout, terminology and syntax. So if you're unfamiliar with the word syntax, that just means the order in which the words and characters are placed to create an understandable phrase in a given language. So think of it like grammar. We're trying to use grammar that a web browser can understand. If we put pieces out of place, the web browser becomes confused and doesn't understand, so it breaks the page. But if we put it in the correct syntax, it will do what we want. And so the So how we get it to do what we want is we create a rule. So a block of CSS code is a rule. And a rule is made up of a selector and a declaration, which is made of a property and a value. So body, for instance, is an HTML tag, which you might remember from the HTML class if you were in there. That's one chunk of code in a tag called body. If you want to style the entire body with a specific color, then you put the selector first. So you'd say body, and then you'd put it in those, we sometimes call them mustache brackets or curly brackets. And then you would put the property, which is it specifies what to style of the targeted element. And then you put the value. So right there, you're seeing hex value for a color. You can also type in colored names, and there are other different ways of putting colors in that I can show you a little bit later. But the value, the used value of the property is the value after all the calculations have been performed on the computed value, again, when the cascade comes down. So if you had this same CSS rule higher up in your code and it said body beige, and then your computer was, or the browser was reading through your code and it sees body color hex 333, it's going to take that last one as the computed value. So simple selectors would be tags, IDs, and classes. There are some more complicated selectors, such as combinator or combination selectors that include more than one selector at a time, or pseudo elements, which is a little more complicated, and we won't have time to cover those today. However, I have added some definitions and links at the end that you can reference if you're interested in learning more. HTML tags are selectors that target the tags you literally typed into your HTML code when you were creating the initial page, such as paragraph links or anchor or tag links. You'll write these out the same way you would in HTML, but without the brackets and no need to close. So as you can see there in the syntax, you just type it out as the tag H1, P, image, etc. IDs are reserved solely for unique elements. Think about telephone numbers. Each one is unique and none of them repeat, or we get into trouble when we try to call someone. An ID is used in CSS only to apply to styles for that one element and no others. And the syntax for that is to use a hashtag in front of the ID name. ID names, as well as class names, there are just names that you can make up. You can call them whatever you want. So you would use hashtag myID, or as you can see in class, just a dot with my class. Classes are used when you have groups of repeating elements that you want to style all the same. So for instance, if you have 5 paragraphs of text in a 10-paragraph page and you want those 5 to be purple, but not the others, you can add a class to those 5 paragraph elements, and that will style all of those elements, but leave the remaining ones unstyled. All right. So layout is actually a pretty big one. Without layout, it would just be like a page of text all in a row. With layout, we can create different sections and areas to draw attention to and create context for. The main CSS properties used in layout are included in the box model shown in this cute little slide. It includes the width and height that you can see sort of inside where that red robot is standing. That is the initial element. And then there is padding that is included. So that goes around the element itself and creates space. Then if you want, you can put a border and that will create a frame around the element. And then finally, there's margin, which if you have a border around an element, this margin will give space outside of that border. We'll see this in action when we're doing our live coding. And then a little bit about color values that I had mentioned before. The browser can read a number of different color values as seen in this slide. As we'll see when we're coding, we will just use standard color names to make it easier. We can prepend them with dark or light sometimes, such as light blue or dark blue. But if you want to get more specific, there are a number of ways to get the exact color you're looking for using hexadecimal codes, RGB or RGBA codes, We're not going to be using those today, but I have put some references at the end of the slide deck. So if you want to look more into those, you're welcome to do so then. A note real quick about web accessibility. Accessibility is very important, and it is an effort to make the web easier to access for people who have different disabilities. So in terms of color, it's important to consider people with color blindness, with low vision, or other types of vision impairment when you're choosing colors for your website. Excuse me. Color contrast is a very important issue that a lot of websites fail to take into account, creating a lack of access to their site. So an easy way to combat this is to use any number of free color contrast checkers available on the internet. I've put one of the more popular ones up in the references section at the end. If you want to try it out, you can use it on any website that's live right now. And it will show you different contrasts between text and SVGs and the background, etc. And it'll give you a score, which is pretty great. So that said, with the very basics, I think we should move on to the coding portion. Again, if you just want to observe and that's more comfortable to you, there is not going to be a test at the end. We're all just here to have fun and learn. And I just wanted to do a quick pause here to see if anybody has any additional questions about anything we've covered or anything that they're curious about. Or if I'm going too fast, I can totally slow it down. Just let me know. Anything in the chat? No? All right. So the way we are going to do this is to go on to a website called Glitch, which if you were part of the HTML class last month, you'll be familiar with how this works. But if everybody could just type this into their address bar and their browser, we are going to get a page that looks like this. So let me know by show of hands or in the chat once everybody is at this page. Okay, see Kim's good. La's good.
Mercalli is good.
Oh, here we go. Sorry about that. Here's the right here.
April just put in the chat if you, Alyssa, could share that address again.
Yes. Is it not showing up right here on the shared screen?
It's there. We see it, Alyssa.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll just give everybody a couple more minutes to get that going. Does anybody need help? Everybody good? Please type the... Oh, sure. I can put it right in the chat. I don't know why I didn't think of that earlier. There you go. All right, so does anybody need more time? Let me know in the chat, otherwise I'll move on.
And the link works, yay.
All right. Excuse me. Okay, so is everybody's at this page. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down to this button right here that says remix your own, because that's going to make a copy of what's right here for you to be able to edit on your own. So we'll hit remix and it'll take you to hopefully eventually your own version. So you'll see up at the top left corner here, it has renamed it to a funny little thing. You can go in here and you can rename it my project or whatever you want to name it. Or not that, my project one, or not CSS. There we go. Okay. So now that is an individual project that I can edit, and it won't edit to the original one that we had before. But real quick, I'm going to scoot this over. We're going to change what's right here on the right-hand side is if you go into the index.html, this is how that was built out in the previous class. You don't have to worry about building anything in here quite yet. We're just going to be styling it. So I'm going to pull over my other screen. Eventually, our page is going to look like that, as opposed to this. And I just would like to mention that I am not a designer, so it doesn't look as beautiful as I'm sure all of y'all's will look, but it's just to learn how to change things around in here. Okay. So we're looking at the HTML here, and you can see that it kind of has a very nice laid out chunks. And there are certain chunks on this page that there are only one of, such as the nav or the main or the aside. But there are other chunks in here that are repeated. LI is a list item. A is an anchor or a link tag. P is a paragraph tag. So you're going to see a lot of those. And the reason I'm pointing that out now is because we had chatted before about IDs and classes. And so that will come up as we're coding. You'll see how IDs and classes can affect different items. So if you look in the CSS notes file on the left here, I did put a couple reminders and syntax here just for your own personal reference. If you get caught up during the class, you can feel free to just pop into here if you need to remember something. You are welcome to style along with me in the exact way that I do it, or you can go off on your own and experiment. It's up to you. This is just to learn and have fun. So as you can see here, we have a style.css file. Now it looks like there's already some rules in here, but I'm not seeing that this text is in Helvetica. So it clearly isn't pulling in these styles into my HTML yet. So the way that we do that is we go into the index.html file. And in this head tag up here, we're going to put some code to link our style sheet into our HTML. So we're going to do that with a link tag. So type link, and then we're going to type REL, which stands for relationship. And it equals style sheet. So the link is a relational style sheet that it's going to pull the styles into this particular HTML file. And then we're going to say href, which is telling the HTML file where to look for those styles. So we're going to type in the name of our style.css style sheet. And you'll notice on the right, as soon as I did that, the font changed in here. So if you hit Command ? It'll comment that out, right? So it's basically not reading that line anymore. But if I put it back in, you can see the text change. So it is now pulling in styles from this style sheet. Okay. So as we go through, we'd like to put our styles in order according to what we're styling. So we can start with the main body. Actually, we can start with the header. Sorry about that. I have my stuff all out of order. Okay, so the header, there's only one of them. And on any web page, there's going to be an H1 tag, which is indicating that it is the most important header on the page. There are other header types, H2, H3, as you can see down here, H2, H3, and those indicate an order of importance on the page. As you can see here, H1 is very large, H2 a little bit smaller, and H3 a little bit smaller still. So that's going to give context to the page and to screen readers for people who are using screen readers to navigate their website. So because there's only one H1 on the page, we can use those HTML tags right here. Remember, we just type them out just like they are. So we'll type H1, and then we'll do the little mustache brackets, and we'll hit enter. And that will start our CSS rule for us. So I think for this project, I'm going to start all of the layout first. We'll get it all laid out, and then we can start doing fun things like adding color. So the property that I'm going to do first is padding. And we're going to do 12 pixels of padding. And you can see that it just kind of put it in a nice little, well, actually, let me show you with a background color on, because I think that will help to understand what it's doing. Okay, so without the padding, we see that it's just right up against the edges of there. But if we put padding, it gives it a little more space. So I'm going to take the green off just because we saw what that did, which is great. And now the next property we're going to do is text align, and this is going to determine where along the row that header actually sits. So I'm going to type center, and it's going to push it right to the center. And that looks a little bit more professional for a portfolio. Let's see what's next. Looks like the nav is next. So that nav is right here. You can see it says home, about me, projects, contact. And those are in list items in what's called an unordered list, which just means it's not a numbered list. And in each of those list items is an anchor tag, which if you were doing this live, you could put www.google.com and then google.com, and then this link would link out to Google. But anyway, we're just doing this for style. So I'm just going to put that hash back in, and that should just take you nowhere. But anyway, now we want to style the nav. So we're going to type in nav because there's only one nav. Sometimes websites have a sub nav, etc., but this is just a simple one. So we are going to, let's put a border around it. So the way that you do border is you put how many pixels thick you want the border. You say whether you want it solid or dotted. There are lots of different options. And I'm just going to say black for now. So we're kind of delineating that into a separate section. Okay. So now we want the nav to be displayed differently. We don't want it to just be a stack, and we don't want it to have dots. We want it to just be plain words, and we want them to spread out across the top. So let's see. We could go in here and do UL for our unordered list, and we could write display. For some reason, it keeps popping out of there. Display flex. And that makes them side by side. But as you notice, that also made, excuse me, that also made this UL down here side by side. And we only wanted to target this one up here. So we're going to add a class to our unordered list. So the way you do that is you just type class equals, and then you can really make up any name that you want. But I'm just going to put nav so that it is clear that I am targeting the nav, the UL that is inside the nav. So the way I can do that is, if we remember from earlier, let's see, class. So the way that we do class is a dot and then the name of the class. So I could just do dot nav. And that then puts this back to the way it was and keeps this the way we want it. So that still doesn't look quite right. It's all smashed together. So let's give it a little space. So Flex is something called Flexbox, which is a layout helper sort of group of rules that you can use. And I can put some more references to that at the end, but it's a very useful tool. Instead of doing this all like for individual nav items to put spacing on them, you can space them all together. So I'm going to put space evenly. Oops. Space evenly. There we go. And then it spaces it out really nicely. So now let's see. That's probably good for layout for those. We'll worry about the actual style part of it in just another moment. So let's move on to what's next. That would be the main portion. So if we go in here and type main and give our little mustache brackets and hit enter, we'll be able to style that main section. So I'll do another border here. 3 pixels. Solid black, and it'll put it there. Looks like the 2 borders touching each other makes too big of a border. So what we're going to do is take advantage of what we did with the cascade. So we can say border top none. So that will take the border off of the top. So it's reading border on everything, but then next it reads border top none. So it'll keep all of the border from the rest and just take the top one off. We also want the main section to display in a flex. So we'll put display flex. And as you can see, this related section then popped over to the side, which looks pretty nice. Now it's not all the way at the bottom, so you don't have to go through all of this content to get to it. And let's see, we'll add some padding. How about 24 pixels? Hey, that's nice. Now it's not scooted up right next to the edge of the border there. Okay, so what's next? So we're in the main. Oh, and now we have article. So what display flex does is it takes whatever the children of this main tag are, which looks like there are 2, article and aside, and puts them side by side, which is also what we did with this UL. It put all of these side by side. So next is the article. And we're just going to add a little padding to that. So padding, as you can see above, you put 24 pixels. If you just put the word padding as your property, that's going to pad all 4 sides of your element. But you can also just put padding top 50 pixels if you wanted to. Or you could put 50 pixels, 20 pixels. And what that does is it takes 50 pixels and applies it to the top and the bottom, and 20 pixels and applies it to the two sides. So it's like a shorthand. Top, bottom, side to side. Or you could do it with 4 different. So this would be top, right, bottom, left. But it's not working because it has to be padding and not just padding top. There we go. Anyway, that's just an example of how padding can work. But for now, we're going to do padding 0, 24 pixels to make it nice and even with our related section. Okay. So now that we have it laid out pretty nicely, we can maybe start to add a little bit more styling to it. So our nav, we're going to go back to our nav and we're going to say that we don't want these dots here. We probably don't want these underlines, and maybe we want to change the colors a little bit. So if we look in our HTML, here's the nav with our unordered list and our list items. And what we're going to do is we're going to add the same class of nav to the A tags and see what it does. And please, if I'm going too fast, let me know, or if you have questions along the way, please feel free to ask. So now we have the nav class on the A tag. So let's see what happens there. It doesn't look like it changed anything here. However, now this nav is applying to all 5 of these things, but we really just want it to apply to the A tags alone and the UL tag alone. So since we were trying to do the UL nav here, we can type ul.nav. Now that's only targeting this whole list in the nav class. And I can do a.nav, which is going to target only those individual items. Excuse me. So maybe we want to take away that text decoration. The text decoration is the underline, and it usually is the default in the web to indicate a link. But if you don't want it, you can say text decoration none, and it'll remove it. For the unordered list, if we don't want those dots there, we can say list style type none, and it will remove those. So those look pretty nice right now. Let's see. Maybe we also want the words in that nav to be a little thicker because we want them to stand out. So we can do font, weight, bold. And they're nice and bold. Okay. How about adding some colors to the nav? Let's see. We can do background color. And then you can pick any color you want. You could do red. You could do green. You could do magenta. But I'm just going to go with green because it's my favorite color. All right. Now, as you can see, that green background doesn't look very good with those words on it. And as I'd mentioned before about contrast, people with low vision or vision impairment would have a very difficult time reading that. So we're going to make that a little more contrasty. So for the A nav, which is each of these individual items, we're going to put the color to beige. And that looks better. You could also do light green. or white. But I like beige, so I'm going to put beige there. Or bagel. So that's looking pretty nice. Maybe we can go back to that header and see if we can add some nice colors to that as well. So we're going to go to our H1 again. And we can put a background color like we did with the nav. I'm going to put black. Whoop, and then it disappeared. So I'm going to change the color of the text also to beige. Beige, bagel. And it's not working. Did I spell that wrong? Not sure why that was taking so long, but okay. Beige. Beautiful. How is everyone doing so far? Are you enjoying yourself? Are you using different colors? Does anybody have any questions? Just want to make sure everybody's on the same page. I'm not going too fast. Everybody good? All right. Okay. So now we can do, let's see, a little more styling in here because we've got this list that's looking a little funky. So let's change that up a little bit. I think it would be nice if we changed the background of the entire thing to a different color. Let's do that. So background color, dark green. Ooh. So that's changing everything to dark green. Now, if we wanted this section in here to be a different color, we can target it in the main section. Background color, beige. Hey, that's looking pretty good. So now to show you a little bit about IDs and classes, I'm going to go into my index here and we're going to take a look at these paragraphs. So I'm going to say that I want this particular paragraph to have an ID, oops, of purple paragraph. And I want this one to have a class of red paragraph. And I'm going to copy that and put that on a couple different paragraphs. Put it there. We'll put it here. We'll put it here. There. Okay, so as you can see, there's only one ID with purple paragraph. There's only one of those paragraphs in this entire thing that is purple paragraph. And for purposes of this particular exercise, you could just put a class on it. That would be fine. But as you'll see in the next course in JavaScript, you might want this paragraph to behave a certain way as well. And if you only wanted this one to behave this way, you would have to have an ID on it. So let's see what happens when we put those two together. So we're in main and we're in article. And so remember, the way to write the ID would be the hashtag symbol, and we'll do purple paragraph. And we're going to change the color of that text to purple. And as you can see, here it is. Just one was styled. And now we put the class on 3 different paragraphs, and we're going to style the class red paragraph, and we're going to put the color of those to red. And as you can see, it styled the 3 paragraphs that that red paragraph class was on. So that's just a small illustration of how IDs and classes can work. I'm going to comment those out just because it doesn't look beautiful. Okay. So for the portfolio header, we can make it pop out just a little bit extra if we want to by using what's called a border shadow. So if we go back to our H1, I'm sorry, box shadow. So we put box shadow, and then we're going to give it some pixel dimensions, 5, 5, and we're going to give it a color. And I apparently love beige today. So as you can see, it added this neat highlight to that box. It's a bright shadow. You can take it off or put it back on. But it just adds a little extra depth to your element here. Excuse me. Okay, so now we are going to go into our index.html because we're going to work on this list right here on the side. We want it to look a little bit more professional. So just like we did up here, adding specific classes to these unordered lists and anchor tags to determine which particular ones we were trying to target here in the nav, we'll do something similar at the bottom. So since these are in the tag called aside, which now is actually aside, we can put some classes here. So this will be class aside. And just to make it easy, we can copy that and put it right down here after each of these A tags. So now when we want to target this particular list of items, we can target it by using the aside class. So we can go back into our styles. And let's say we want the UL dot for class, remember, aside, and mustaches. And now we are going to use, we're going to do what we did up here and take the list style type off. Oops. List style type, none. So as you'll see, those bullet points disappear. So we're getting there. And now we'll do a anchor tag, right? Dot aside. And we are going to do text decoration none, which will take those underlines off. And let's change the color for fun. We're going to go dark green. All right, those are looking better. Now, say we want to change the size of the font because maybe we don't want it to be as prominent as the font in all the paragraphs. We can change the font size by using the property font size. And we'll give it a 14 pixel size. So now you can see it's a little bit smaller than the rest of them. And let's see. To make that a little bit nicer looking, we can say, it looks like there's padding added there for some reason. So we'll say padding left 0. Oops, 0. And it moves it over. So now everything is lined up a little bit better. but it still looks like those words are kind of crunched together. So we might want to give them a little bit of space. So how do we do that? Can we do that by doing the A tag? Well, let's try it. We can give it a margin on the bottom. And we'll say 15 pixels. So that didn't do anything. So the reason for that is that those A tags live in a tag that is the one that it is determining where they are on this page. So we really need to take the list item. So what we can do here is another nice trick. We can use that aside class, comma, list item. So it's now targeting the aside class when it's a list item. And we can say margin bottom 15 pixels. And that has laid it out quite nicely. Looks like there's an S at the bottom of here for some reason. Okay. Great. You can also scooch this out if you want to see it in a different way. So the last piece looks like down here, this copyright 2050 by nobody. All rights reserved. So again, with the contrast, that's not very easy to read. So we should find out where that is in our code. Let's see. It lives in the footer. All right. So if we go to the bottom of our CSS file and we write footer, we can change the color to beige. Beautiful. So now we went from a page that looks like this, which is just text with its HTML context. So unordered lists look like this by default. H1s are large headers by default, and each of the smaller subsections by default are smaller. The default text that's in HTML is going to be this serif font, which is not as popular these days as a sans serif. So sans serif means, if you're not familiar, if you see on these letters, they have little lines that come out of different portions of the letters. So that's what's considered a serif. So sans serif means that it's just straight letters. There's no fancy little flourishes on them. And actually, sans serif fonts are a more accessible font that is better to use for people, again, with vision impairment. So definitely something to think about when you are designing websites. So that was actually a pretty quick coding session. CSS, not as lengthy a topic for the basics, but I definitely wanted to show you too. There are some games in for learning different types of CSS. So I gave you these links. I can click them real quick and show you. They're meant to teach you how to learn different selectors. So it gives you the HTML over here, and it kind of gives you some hints. And then it tells you how to choose different things that are on the page. So that's a cute game. Css Grid Garden is for learning a layout helper called Grid. So before we were using display flex, you can also do display grid, and that will help you determine a layout and how to place things on your website. And then there's Flexbox Froggy, which teaches you in a similar way how to use Flexbox. So the display flex that we were using in our coding example, this will teach you how to use Flexbox by putting the Froggy on a silly pad. So those resources will be in the slide deck for you. We also have additional resources about selectors and colors, like mentioned before. So feel free to explore those. And it looks like we're ending a little bit earlier than we had thought. So there's definitely time for questions if anybody has questions before we end.
Thank you, Alyssa. And apologies for those of you that joined us a little bit late. We had a little bit of a glitch with our Zoom link, but we will be, that's such as life with online meetings. And for those of you who are, if you joined us a little bit later, my name is Christy Atkins. I am one of the librarians who has partnered with Alyssa and Queen City Bytes to bring these types of coding programs to the Charlotte community and beyond. Joining me is also Law Fullwood. We are both employees of the Charlotte Mecklenburg Library system, and I work out of the Matthews branch. She works out of another location. And what we don't know about coding, when we turn to the experts in the field and have worked with the wonderful, wonderful people with Queen City Bytes, including Alyssa, since 2019, to have programs. Prior to COVID, we had programs at many of our library locations. Since the pandemic, we have partnered with Queen City Bytes to have a host of online coding programs. We've done tech career roundtables. We've done an accessibility program. Last month, we had an intro to HTML program that this CSS workshop built off of. And next month, we are also going to be working with the fabulous people at Queen City Bytes for an intro to JavaScript. And that will be posted, event descriptions and dates and times will be put on both the Charlotte Mecklenburg Library's website as well as Queen City Bytes meetup page. La, do you have the date? I don't have it right off the top of my head. I'm sorry, guys.
For August
For
date?
August.
That
Yes.
is August 28th, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Yes, so that will be another Saturday. It will be an online event. Let's see.
We do have some questions. We had some, Miss Alyssa from this wonderful newbie who just joined us, which is exciting. She joined the meetup page, and her name is Ashley. And she had some great questions about the HTML piece.
Sure.
So I don't know if you can answer anything she might have a question about right now.
Let me look in the. Where is it in the chat?
I was chatting with her. But there she is. Yay, Ashley. We can hear you, Ashley.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. I'm going to try to speak really quickly because I do have my 1-year-old baby right here with me.
Aww.
And she's being so silent and so patient, but she wants to say something so bad.
Hello, little baby.
Yeah. So new to the meetup, glad to be here. I'm in the middle of a career change. I'm an IT specialist. However, wanted to learn how to food. So I quickly saw the meetup yesterday. It was just on time because I just finished a 4-week boot camp. And it was going really, really quickly. Thank you.
Hello,
really quickly. And I wanted more emphasis on CSS. And then I came across the meetup. So I signed up really late last night, but I did see in the description that if I needed you guys had a prior course for HTML, and if I needed those syntaxes to reach out. So I'm just reaching out now and just saying, hey, if I can get that information, would love to practice and keep up and just stay motivated and all that good stuff. Just glad to be
Yeah.
here. If I need to provide an email or anything, I don't know. I'm just want to get all the stuff I can.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's why we're here. That's why
Yes.
we're here. So if you
Thank you.
want, you can on the slide that's up right now is my contact information. If you want to contact me
All right.
directly, you're welcome
Grabbing a
to do that.
snippet. Okay.
But also I will be sending these slides out both to the library through the library meetup. I think I can give them to you all at the library, and also through our QC Bytes meetup page. I'll be giving all of the slides out, and I'm always here to ask questions too. Anyone on our team is always available if you want to have a chat, if you want to do a virtual coffee. If you're in the midst of a career change, we do a lot of sessions about interviewing, about how to network. So yeah, definitely hit us up.
All right, we'll do that. Thank you so much. And again,
Absolutely.
glad to be here. Definitely
Yeah.
enjoyed myself.
Hey, good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can send the HTML information out along with the CSS so everyone has both. And a link to that HTML course is actually on the library YouTube right now, so I can include the link as well.
Thank you, Alyssa, for doing that.
Yeah, of course.
That's so awesome. Thank you, Ashley. I'm so glad we were able to still have time to take care of you and the little 1-year-old. That's exciting.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you as well.
Alyssa, also Andre,
Yeah.
he was asking, once you did all of those changes, do you need to save it? How to publish it was his question.
So
two-part.
It does auto save. I think that if you want to keep it as a project in your glitch, you can make an account, but you can also go back and then share it, and you can share the link. So the live site would be right here. So it would show just what you did, right? Almost as though it was its own website. Or if you wanted to show it so that other people can edit it with you or remix it, you can just give them that link. But there's that share button up there in the corner. You can also copy all of the information from these files into your own files if that's better for you. But this is all available on the Glitch website. So I would encourage everyone to make an account for sure, because then all of your projects will be saved right in there. Yeah, absolutely. And anybody who has questions about that kind of thing, feel free to reach out anytime. If you need more resources or interested in certain aspects of CSS or HTML or JavaScript or anything, we are always here. So definitely reach out.
Anyone else? Alyssa's the awesome expert while we have her here.
I'm happy to answer questions about job search, anything you want. So
She knows everything.
Yeah.
well, I wish. That would be nice.
That whole group, the Queen City Bytes is amazing. We are so fortunate to have them, and they are very personable, as you can tell. There's 7 of these great young women that really like to do anything techie or not. So please
We're always
take the time to ask them.
Absolutely. And if anybody's interested in volunteering, we always need TAs. When things go back to normal, whenever that happens, we do a lot of in-person meetups. We do coffee and codes on weekend mornings where we have an expert come in and do a talk, and then an hour of networking and asking questions. We do a couple social things just for networking, and we'll do a lot of classes. So if anybody is interested in, volunteering or just coming out and networking, we hope to be able to do those again sometime in the future. But for now, we'll stay virtual.
And hopefully we will be able, on the Charlotte Mecklenburg Library side of this fabulous partnership, to let you all know when we are permitted to do in-person programming again.
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, if anybody came in late and didn't hear, this class as well will be up on the library's YouTube in case you missed the first part of it, or you need to visit any parts of it. It will be available to you on the YouTube channel.
And last month's HTML program is on our YouTube channel. If you'd like to take a moment to, or if you're leisure, it's about, I think, an hour and a half, under 2 hours. and you can go in and create a glitch profile, and or if you need the code sent to you, we can do that.
Yep. Yeah.
And if you signed up through the library's website, you should have my email address as well. But I'm happy to put it here in the chat.
I'll just put this up again too. If anybody wants to join the QC Bytes meetup page, that's where that is where we put all of our upcoming events. There's also a really great group in town called Charlotte Devs. They have a meetup page. I'm not sure that they're actively doing too many classes right now, but they do have a really great Slack environment that, you know, people can come in and network and get to know each other, ask questions if they're stuck on something. It's a really a welcoming environment. And then again, if you want to reach out to me personally, I'm happy to get virtual coffee on one-on-one if you have questions. So yeah, I'll always here to support.
And their Charlotte Devs Slack channel is active all the time. I mean, they're on there literally. You can't miss a thing. So please sign up for their Slack channel if you have a moment. And thank you, Andre.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks.
Actually, let me real quick grab. I know that the Slack channel can be accessed through the Charlotte Devs website. So let me put that link. I don't know why I didn't have it on the slide, but okay, yeah. So if you just go to this, I'll put this in the chat. But if you just go to this URL, you can click that join us on Slack, and that'll take you right to the Charlotte Devs page. But yeah, lots of good conversations going on in there. Lots of good networking, which I'm all about the networking.
They post jobs, you name it, it's in that channel. So please, it's free to join their channel. They are on top of everything.
It's a very good resource.
Now, Alyssa, you didn't mention the QC Bytes one.
Well, we have a channel inside of the Charlotte Devs Slack space. So we have a QC Bytes where we announce all of our upcoming events. We take ideas. If anybody is interested in learning a particular type of technology, you know, lately we've just been doing web development, but we have people on the team that do database stuff. We have people we can reach out to if you're interested in security. We can do, you know, classes about that. So the world's your oyster. We are always open for suggestions. So feel free to hit us up inside of that Charlotte Devs Slack space or directly, and let us know what you'd like to learn.
And also include us and the Charlotte Mecklenburg Library in the conversation. Christy and I both did put our email directly in there as well as Alyssa's. So please, we like to talk to people.
And not to overload everybody with too much information, but I am putting a link to the library's calendar. I'm not sure how many of you guys are all from Charlotte or the surrounding area. Perhaps some of you are from outside of the Charlotte area, but all of our programs through the library are always free. You really just need an email address to sign up for them. You will need to sign up for them. They are still online, but they are always free. And just to let you guys know some of the things that we offer, we have online programs for every age group, everything from baby story time to all kinds of career development. So I put a bit.ly link right there in the chat that you can go to and filter. Oh, great.
Wow, Ashley.
Joining us. Yeah, it's awesome. So again, a lot of times when people come to our events, one of the things we hear is, wow, I didn't know you could do that at the library. So even though, 99% of everything is still, oh, that is awesome. Thanks, Robin. Thank you for the compliment.
Oh,
but there's just a lot that you can do either with a library card from the comfort of your home, or if you have access to the internet. All of our programs are free, and we just can't encourage you guys enough to come out and see what we have to offer. come out in the sense that you go through your computer. Since we don't have we're still not at a place where we can do in-person stuff, but we hope to be able to do that at some point.
Soon, hopefully soon.
Yeah.
Yes. And remember, everyone, I just wanted to let everyone know how our system is divided. Christy and I work with adult services, but we also cross over to teen services and children's services. And all of those programs are on our website for the library calendar, and they all have descriptions of whatever free program you want to join for all age groups. And we have something going on pretty much every day.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, our regional branches are closed on Sundays, but normally if it was a real year in our world, the regional branches would be open from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. So be on the lookout for that in the next month or so. We hope that they will be open, and there may be programs offered virtually then, but Monday through Saturday, just keep us on your calendar and see if there's anything you want to come to with us. And again, you can contact me and or Christy directly via the emails we posted for you.
That's awesome. You guys are the best.
And please fill out our survey. We need our survey filled out. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and that was another thing that we will be sending out as well. We listen to the feedback we get in our surveys. We try to offer as much as we can, but there are a lot of things that we miss that we don't think of, and we won't know what to try to explore to offer in the terms of online programming or in-person programming or resources if we don't hear from you guys. So we just encourage you to fill it out and let us know what you'd like to see more of. And yeah.
Oh, I just got a test email from Ashley. Yay!
Thanks, Ashley.
Ashley's on top of things with the little tiny person. So
yeah.
Great. Yeah, awesome.
Great.
Anyone else? Any questions? Anything else we can offer for you all? We're still here.
Ask away.
Everybody good?
I think we're all attached to the glitch page right now.
It's pretty fun.
It
I
is.
really encourage everyone to go in there and just play around. Like, you're not going to break anything. It's just for fun. Put some crazy styles in there, go nuts. It's really fun. You look at some of those resources, play those games for sure. Those games are they're super excellent in terms of learning the concepts, but having fun at the same time. So I would encourage anyone to try those games out, and even children can do those games and learn, and it's great.
And being that nowadays the kids know more than we ever will anyway,
Yes.
we definitely suggest you use those resources.
Yeah. Yeah, and definitely reach out if you design something really neat looking. We'd love to see it. Yeah.
Well, if that's it, Alyssa, anything else?
I think that's it on my end.
Christy?
I'm good to go. Yeah, guys, just check your email for the slide deck. And we'll also be sending out a PDF of available resources that most of them are free. Some of them may require the use of a library card. There's one called LinkedIn Learning that you will need a library card, a Charlotte Mecklenburg Library card to use. If you don't have one of our cards and you live in Mecklenburg County, you can get a free one. You can actually apply for one virtually, and you will get a card number sent to you pretty much instantly. Again, if you live in Mecklenburg County. If you're from out of county or out of state, I would encourage you to check with your county library system to see what kind of resources they have. If they may be something like a virtual resource like LinkedIn Learning, or it may be something like just going to your local library and getting a book on coding. We do have actual physical books in a wide variety of languages. And so I would just encourage you to look at your county library system if you are not a resident of Mecklenburg County.
Great.
Thank you, everyone. This was so fun. Thank you, Alyssa.
Yeah.
Queen City Bytes is the best. Thank you, Christy. And
thank you for attending.
Yes.
Hopefully we'll see you next month at JavaScript.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andre. Have a great weekend too.
Yes, thank you. All right. Take care.
Great. Thanks, guys.